الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. There is no doubt that Allah Jalla wa Ala has preserved this religion for us subhanahu wa ta'ala up until the end of time, up until the day of resurrection, up until the end of this dunya. And all of the Islamic rulings and principles and foundations are applicable without a doubt, and they conform with every time and every era and every place. That is because this religion, ayyuhal ikhwa, is revealed by Allah Jalla wa Ala, the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and the Lord of creation, the Lord of the heavens and the earth and everything between, and the Lord of creation. And something that has transformed the lives of everyone and has completely transformed the way we live as human beings and how we interact and deal with each other in the world around us is social media. Just a few years ago, communication was obviously much slower. There was limited phone calls. You had to use the payphone. There's no such thing as there was no such thing as FaceTime. It was just face-to-face conversations and real life interaction. Nowadays, with just a few taps on the screen, we can reach people from all across the globe instantly. And the news spreads in seconds all over the world. Ideas travel faster than ever before. And everyone has a platform. And this is perhaps the most dangerous part. Is that everyone, literally any human being, has a platform to share their ideas, to share their voice, to share their thoughts, whether it's good ideas and thoughts or, to the contrary, evil, wicked ideas and thoughts. And to us as Muslims, the criterion that distinguishes good from evil is that which is in line with the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's what distinguishes good from evil. That's what determines to us whether what is being said is good or bad. And of course, when it comes to the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal, we're not talking about mere opinions. We're talking about revelation. We're talking about Quran, Sunnah, the way of the companions of the Allah Ta'ala anhum. That's Islam. But with that being said, everyone can still come on here and share whatever they want to say. And it has changed how we connect with family and friends as well. How we learn, how we do business, and even how we see ourselves. People actually go through stress and depression and anxiety and all different kinds of types of mental illnesses as a result and as a byproduct of social media. How they interact and deal with people on social media, or how they view others on social media. And it's really a mirage. For the most part, what people perceive and see on social media is contrary to the reality of the lives of those people who portray themselves as living a lavish dream lifestyle. And but with this, as we said, this massive transformation comes responsibility. Because just as social media has the power to, build, inspire, and help and benefit, it's a double-edged sword, no doubt about it. It's a double-edged sword. That's why it can benefit, and also one can benefit through it, and it also has the power to harm, to distract, and to mislead us. So as Muslims, ya ikhwa, we have to understand that we need to abide by the Islamic rulings and principles when it comes to the virtual online world as well. Just as we do in real life, the online world is no different. The concept is the same. The concept is the same. In fact, it's even more dangerous and more harmful if one isn't aware and isn't alert to all that. So I noted down some bullet points here that I would like to, as brief as I possibly could, discuss, inshallah, from an Islamic perspective, and how we as Muslims must deal with social media. Because let's be real, you're not going to tell, or we're not going to be able to convince ourselves, let alone the Muslims, to completely get off social media. and just abandon social media altogether. This is virtually impossible nowadays. And like we said, there's great benefit in utilizing social media. There's also immense harm. However, one has to keep in mind that Allah Azza wa Jal is all watcher over us, ya ikhwa. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees every click, every like, every comment, every share, all of these things without a doubt. Allah Azza wa Jal is all watcher over, and His noble angels who have been appointed to note everything down and write down the deeds of mankind are writing down. And they'll be displayed in our book of deeds when we return back to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as Muslims, this aqeedah of ours, Allah Azza wa Jal is all watcher over us and His noble angels are writing down, this aqeedah, it's a mindset. It's a mindset as human beings, but it's a aqeedah which we firmly know and believe in to be the absolute haqq, and without a doubt, it should transform the way we interact. It should make us more conscious of Allah Azza wa Jal, and more careful of not violating the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, la yabluwannakum Allahu bi shay'in min as-sayd tanaluhu aydikum wa rimahukum liya'lam Allahu man yakhafuhu bil ghayb. Powerful ayah. This was revealed when the Sahaba radiallahu anhum had an opportunity while they were in a state of ihram to be able to reach those animals, the sayd, hunt animals, but they were prohibited from doing so because they were in a state of ihram. But they had them. They were within reach. But this was a test. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said here, it was ibtila. La yabluwannakum Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shall test you. So take that meaning and apply it to today's world of social media, where privacy tends, like being in private, tends to tempt people to surf the net and the web in places and on platforms and websites which they know isn't pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is a trial, this is a test. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing you, and He knows subhanahu wa ta'ala everything. But for it to become apparent, for that test and the results of that test to then become apparent to you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Did you pass or did you fail? So that's the first point I want all of us to keep in mind and to ponder over, that this is a test. It's a test for you or for me and for all of us to see the results for on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Did we pass this test of refraining from whatever is displeasing to Allah Azza wa Jal whilst using social media, or did we fail? Because people can privately access things and watch all of whatever they want to watch. No one else can see them except Allah Azza wa Jal. So it's the first, a test of your iman. It's a test of your taqwa, of your fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the second point is we need to avoid, so the first is to understand that point really good. The second is to avoid the places of shubuhat, to avoid the platforms or the websites or the pages or the channels which cast doubt about your deen, about your Islam, about your identity as a Muslim. Because ya ikhwa, you have to know, and this is something well documented, that there's this massive anti-Islamic campaign that's funded and paid for in order to cast doubt amongst the Muslims, in order to portray Islam in a very negative light by the kuffar and enemies of Allah Azza wa Jal. And they will fail miserably. They will fail miserably. Every time they try, they will fail. Walillah alhamd. But the concern is about those who are not well grounded in their iman and allowing themselves to just lending their ear to anyone, even out of curiosity, unless you're watching to refute and you have well-grounded and strong knowledge to refute those individuals and the false, wicked ideas they're spewing. Unless that's the case, then you shouldn't be lending your ears to anyone who speaks, whether for Islam or against. Because even those who speak in the name of Islam from the du'at, you have to understand what their manhaj is. You have to know who they are as du'at, as students of knowledge. Are they upright? Are they calling to the Quran and Sunnah upon the manhaj of the Sahaba? Do other mashayikh and people of knowledge who are upright know them? and would they vouch for them, so on and so forth. This is as Ibn Sirin said, this knowledge is deen. إن هذا العلم دين فانظروا عما تأخذون دينكم was one statement. This knowledge is religion, so be careful and look at who you take your deen from. Alright. Third is avoiding places of temptation, immorality. So you have shubuhat, then you have shahawat, places where you can easily fall into haram just by a click of a button. Avoid these places. Don't even allow yourself to be roaming around that sanctuary. Even if it's something in essence halal, but it could lead you to haram, then refrain. An example of that is communicating with the opposite gender, alone from being seclusion. This must be avoided. But let's say you're in a group chat or whatnot. If there's no need, and there's women, there's opposite gender, mixed men and women, there's no absolute need for work, for something that arised, for you to be in there, and if you are, you keep it straight to the point, then leave that place of temptations. Leave it. As much as you can flee away, refrain and stay far and steer away from fitna as much as you could, then you should do it. Because wallahi, we're weak, we're vulnerable, we're human beings. You know, وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Mankind, the humankind was created in a state of weakness. We are weak human beings, so we need to understand our vulnerability and our weakness and avoid these places of shahawat, places of temptations that will lead you to haram. Okay, although as we said, they may be in essence halal, but they may lead you to haram, so you want to avoid and close that door. And the fourth, and this is a calamity, is to not reshare anything you come across without verifying. We have to understand that. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Kafa bil mar'i kadhiban an yuhadditha bi kulli ma sami'a." It is enough of a lie that a person spews or a person spreads or speaks about everything they hear. Everything you see, you share. So it's as if you're virtually speaking. It's like you hear news and then you say, hey people, everyone listen up, by the way, this is that. Same concept as you said, the concept is the same. You're just sharing it virtually for people to see it, for people to read it, people to hear it, listen to it. Okay? So be careful, verify. And remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the guideline when it comes to this, spreading news. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنْ جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Fasiq. Most people on the internet إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ اللَّهِ are from the fusaq. Most people إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ اللَّهِ. They're not Muslims to begin with, or they may be Muslims who are wicked, and they don't fear Allah Azza wa Jal. They're just content creators or influencers and the likes. So be careful. Verify the news, ya ikhwa. Another qira'ah, another recitation. فَتَثَبَّتُوا. What's the difference between فَتَبَيِّنُوا فَتَثَبَّتُوا? أولا فَتَثَبَّتُوا meaning verify the news. Is it authentic? Is it true? Or is it false? Is it just another rumor? But if it is true, فَتَبَيِّنُوا. Seek clarification on the context behind what's being shared here. Okay, it's true. It is. This did happen, but many times the context is distorted because people have certain agendas, right? So make sure you verify. Don't be so quick to just share everything just for the sake of sharing news, because you may end up regretting it. So be careful. Don't be held against you. So don't be quick to share whatever, whether it's an Islamic post, news, or a viral claim or not. Pause, check, verify, because sharing falsehood spreads confusion, and it's a sin, because if it's false and a kadhib, then you're sinful for that. So be careful. And the fifth is be aware of riya. Allah al-musta'an. Social media feeds vanity, and it feeds self-amazement. It feels wanting validation from others. More likes, more comments, more followers, more subscribers. Some people are it's as if they're soliciting, they're begging others, or just going out of their way to do some outrageous things to garner attention. No, ya ikhwa. This applies, it's even more severe when it comes to those wanting to spread Islam. First of all, you must be spreading Islam based on sincerity, based on knowledge, okay? And sincerity is subhanAllah, we have to be very careful from not tampering with the ajr, the great noble reward, and the great noble cause of spreading the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because riya creeps in. That's why he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أَخْوَفُ مَا أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ الشِّرْكُ الْأَصْغَرُ. And then he mentioned and clarified what is shirk al-asghar. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم الرياء, showing off, seeking validation, seeking attention from others while spreading Islamic content. One has to be very careful. Whether people praise you, whether people criticize you, you should keep moving forward. You're doing this for a mission. Obviously, if they criticize you, and rightfully so, they're pointing out your mistakes and they have evidence for it, you have to humble yourself to accept the truth. But if it's somebody who is criticizing you because you're spreading the haqq, then you don't even pay attention to them. You keep it moving. Walillah alhamd. Right? And then the sixth is lowering the gaze. Lower your gaze, ya ikhwa. A lot of times people share certain things, might be might have an important message in it, or some content where it's being shared, where a woman who's dressed properly is speaking or so on. You have to lower your gaze. If you're gonna listen, wala bud, don't look at the screen. Don't look at the screen, ya akhi. There's no need. You just listen to the audio. There's no need to look at the screen because you have to lower your gaze. Barakallahu fikum. For both males and females. And also, and this is the final point I have noted down before we wrap up, don't share family pictures publicly, ikhwa. Not everyone's going to say Allahumma barik and wish good for you. I'm talking about like your kids or your outings and so on, let alone, sharing pictures of women. And we discussed that in a previous episode, right? About women sharing their pictures online for anyone to see and how dangerous it is and the potential real ramifications of doing so. Right? But likewise, just sharing, let's say, your little kids, your little boys, your little daughters, and so on. Not everyone's going to say Allahumma barik. Not everyone's going to wish good for you. Or your outings, where you're eating, where you're traveling, just for the sake of sharing it, to boast and to just show others what you're up to and doing. Unless you have like a very small circle, a family group on WhatsApp, or who's watching and following you, and there are people who genuinely, inshallah, want good for you. But when you're sharing publicly for anyone to come across your videos or your content and see it, then this is not a good thing, because it could lead to negative results. Naam. So just to keep it short, ya ikhwa, I don't want to take too long. These are some points that we should keep in mind and be aware of, and try our very best to adhere to these points which are in line with Islam, and to exhibit the best manners when it comes to these points that were mentioned. Therefore, so that we could, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, utilize social media in a positive way and not in a negative way. And there's so much more that could be said. But like I said, I like to keep it brief, concise. Wallahu al-musta'an. Barakallahu feekum. Anything that I said of good is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything that I said which is a mistake, wrong, is from my nafs and shaitan. And Allah and His Messenger are free from that. والله تعالى أعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.